Samuel L. Jackson's first successful movie he was a part of came out when he was 45 years old. It was Pulp Fiction. Ford, one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world, was made by Henry Ford when he was 39 years old after many of his businesses failed. J.K. Rowling was 25. She was a single mother. She had nothing. She was living on welfare when she came up with Harry Potter. And it took her another 6 years to have it published. And it was published after a dozen of publishers rejected her book. But my favorite example is James Dyson, the guy behind Dyson vacuums. You all know Dyson vacuums. Or at least you know somebody that owns a Dyson vacuum. My mother owns a Dyson vacuum, and I miss it deeply since I moved out. I remember it cost her as much as my car cost me. Anyway, with James Dyson, this is one of the most motivating stories for me. He came up with this idea of a bagless vacuum cleaner, and his idea was rejected many times by companies. In fact, so many times that I cannot wrap my head around it. He made 5,126 prototypes of a vacuum cleaner that didn't work. 5,126 flawed vacuum cleaners, and this dude didn't give up. He made the 5,127th vacuum cleaner, and do you want to know how much he's worth now? $15 billion. And before the 5,127th vacuum cleaner, he was on the brink of bankruptcy. This is one of the most motivating things I've heard in a while, and it's hard to wrap my head around. How can you be so good at not giving up? I am 24 years old, and I felt like giving up many times. I gave up so many times on so many things in my life just because I felt slightly that I'm not going to make it. This guy was rejected 5,126 times. And all of you, and me included, we give up on our first failure so often, way too often. I gave up on so many sports. I was doing skateboarding, and the moment I felt like there was no progress, I gave up on it. I was doing BMX before skateboarding. It was a very hard sport because I was young when I started it and I had like a full-size BMX. I quit it because it was taking me so long to learn everything because I was small for the bike, but it's okay. I just had to practice more, get the strength. But I gave up. For a while, I was practicing basketball. I loved it so much. I watched this series about Michael Jordan on Netflix, The Last Dance, amazing series. I really recommend you watching it. But the moment the learning curve stopped going up, at least from my perspective, I gave up immediately. And I hated myself for that. With every time I gave up, I hated myself for it. And I had these stupid excuses in my head that were validating the giving up, And just like James Dyson, you should not give up. Once you find something that you enjoy, keep doing it. There is always this moment, everything you do in your life, where you just stop feeling the progress. You stop enjoying the thing. You get bored, maybe. And this is the moment when you cannot quit. You cannot quit. Because it will happen to everything you start in life. And it's a momentary moment. Once you get over it, the graph goes so much higher. It goes like this. This is the dip of the boredom, of the feeling no progress. This is where you start. You go up. This is the exciting part. You feel like you're so good at it. You learn so quickly. You are talented. You are natural at it. And then there is a dip called the valley of despair. Okay? This is the boredom. This is the no progress. This is the frustration with the lack of learning, with the lack of progress. Okay? But it always, if you keep going, this is the timeline. If you just keep going in the valley of despair, in this dip, eventually it will start rising, okay? And then it will rise even higher than you expected. And it's every time like that. Since I learned about this principle, I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, something like this. Forgive me if I said it wrong, but every time you get into the dip, just keep going. Don't change anything. Just keep on going. Eventually, we'll get out of it. You're going to go so high. You're going to surpass your expectations a lot. And it's like that with anything you do in life. I have been doing calisthenics for 3 years now. And this is one of the best examples you can do, because some skills in this field are so hard that you have to train them for years before you can perform them with a proper clean technique, okay? And calisthenics is the best proof of this principle, because it's very often when you experience these dips, and they can last a very long time. I've had weeks and months where I could see no progress at all, but just that knowledge that the dip eventually will disappear and I will feel progress again made it so much easier to not quit, to keep going. So mark my words and just keep going. Anything you do in life, just keep on going.